Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm honored to be hosting this fireside chat with my mentor and my ideal model, Ajay. So, today we are exploring a critical but often overlooked aspect of AI innovation, which is how to lead with responsible AI and scale innovation without sacrificing ethics. That's such an important topic, and AI continues to shape every industry, and we are thrilled to learn from Ajay experience in this space. So we'll start with 14 to 45 minutes in a structured conversation. Then we will have like last 15 minutes for your questions. So feel free to raise your hands. I will call your name, and you can unmute yourself. So with that, I am delighted to introduce our guest today, Ajay. So Ajay is the director of AI at G42 and the founder of AiExponent, where he architects enterprise-wide AI strategies and ensures responsible adoption, specialized in responsible AI strategy and governance. He also served various prestigious councils and boards, including HBR, MIT Technology, Forbes Technology Council, and mentors startup through Stanford University programs as well. So Ajay is recognized as a senior member of IEEE for his technical leadership and contribution. So please join me in the chat in welcoming Ajay. Thank you, Ajay, for joining us today.
Thank you, Israa, for this invite and One League community. Hello, all.
All right, let's start from the roots. So at One League, we love to start from the very beginning. So my question is, was there anything in your early upbringing or experiences that you feel shaped your path toward the technology sector, Ajay?
Yeah, thanks, Isra, and One League community. This is like my pleasure talking to you guys today, and we have a very kind of I would say warm starting with this question, and this brings my old memories back, and I'm thinking like what is that is shaping my whole career so far. Okay, and then it goes back to my the family values, what I have seen so far. Like in my family, the education is not just one of the value which is kind of appreciated, but it is a kind of sacred, I would say, um, ethical principle, right? We all think that this is a must to have um, um, education, which is not only shaping your whole life, but it is making you as a human, right? And one of the great example that I would like to quote here is, and that's like one of the guiding principle for me. A living example is my father, right? So he did his senior secondary, and after senior secondary, because of his kind of family conditions and some of the situations at that time, he could not continue his education, and he left his education after senior secondary. Then he started his business and involved in the whole business, building the career and raising children. Like we were raised in a very small family in India, and he did not got the time to basically continue his studies. And to the surprise, I would say, like when he grew up 62, um, at that age when everyone is thinking about retiring and just winding up things, he went back for his studies at the age of 62. He said, no, I want to do my graduation because now I'm free. I'm retired now. I don't have anything else to do. So I want to study. And this is like, I have seen in my family, everyone was kind of very, very supportive. So he went back and he and he gave the exam for his graduation. this was a kind of one a memory. I always like think how much value my family has for the education, and not education just in terms of like getting the degree or getting the kind of just the knowledge, but imparting that knowledge and um, bringing those values into the whole in the life itself, to make a good human. And this is the same thing even I see when I connect this to my life so far. um, I keep on doing continuous learning, right? I keep myself engaged in different activities. Mm. And which is very much required, especially when you are working in AI, right? Changes are happening so fast. So AI needs, or AI demands, this humility. You need to continuously learn. You need to continuously look for the changes happening. You need to adapt all those things. The moment you stop learning, you are just obsolete. And with in last couple of years, this has even accelerated more, right? So now, like, this is all about AI, right? So we the same learning, or the same kind of phenomena that I have incorporated from my family, is getting reflected in the AI. This value that I learned, that not only the education is important, but imparting that education in personal life to be a good human, that's where it is pushing me towards the responsible AI. Okay, and I can connect those value, right? That not only the technology, but building a responsible technology is important, right? So because the technology is interacting with the human, a technology is not itself a kind of independent thing. We are the user for the technology. When we are using, we are the humans, right? So they should bring some positive change, or they should these technologies should make a positive impact in our life, right? And that's all about the responsible AI. And this responsible AI, it needs continuous questioning, right? You need continuous
Mhm.
learning, questioning, reflection, and that's all we need to do. Even when we talk about education, or is it about innovation, or is it about responsible AI, or any technology field, right? Continuous learning and innovation with the mindset of human is the most important thing.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for your sharing your insights. You founded AI Exponent, right?
Yeah.
Around 8 years ago. Your mission was to accelerate AI adoption in a sustainable and responsible way. So the term responsible AI has become quite popular recently. And from your perspective, what does it truly mean in practice?
Yeah. So recently we are seeing this responsible AI has become a kind of buzzword too, right? If you see any presentation or any company slides, right, you will always see this kind of word: ethical AI, responsible AI, right? And most of these companies are treating this as one of their checkbox, right? You need to have this word, right? Just like if you are building any product these days, you need to have the AI somehow, right? Without even thinking whether it is going to be used somehow by the end users, whether it is going to make any change in their existing process, what kind of ROI it will bring. No, this is like we have to have the AI the same way. All these companies who are, I would say, born digital or the native AI, they are putting responsible AI in their checkbox, right? But for me, responsible AI is not just a checkbox in their slides or in their documentation, but it is a discipline for me, right? For any sustainable innovation, we need to uh, think beyond technology. We, as I said, technology is for the humans, right? So we need to think beyond technology and we need to connect with the humans. And when it comes to the responsible AI, it is you don't need a complex definition to define like what is this responsible AI means. It is simple, one question, right? Can you just explain what AI is doing in simple words, right? Whatever decision in your product or in your processes AI is taking, I have the right to know. Can you explain what kind of decisions is taking? That transparency. And am I comfortable with that decision? Is it okay if I apply this decision or this AI with someone who I love, right? If we have this answer, this is all. There is no complicated process. You don't need to follow long protocols to define and implement responsible AI. There are only like three pillars, if I would say, if you want to really define this terminology, responsible AI. Number one, as I said, we need it should be transparent. Whatever we are doing, wherever we are incorporating AI in our systems, right, in our process, workflow, automation, we
Mm-hmm.
need to be transparent. How the AI is taking decision. Everyone has the right to know. Your end users are demanding. If you are
Mm-hmm.
denying somebody something, some access, right? Or if you are denying somebody maybe for their any of their right? Maybe you are applying AI in HR systems where automatic resumes are getting filtered and they are getting selected for certain positions, etc. You have the best AI models, but users have the right to, or the applicant have the right to know on what basis my application is selected or rejected. You cannot say that, okay, no, this is the algorithmic decision. That is not
Mm-hmm.
acceptable, right? So that transparency is the first pillar. Any system that we are building should be transparent. Second
Perfect.
is
Perfect.
like we need to have the accountability, right? Right accountability set. We cannot say this is the decision taken by the AI system and we don't know, right? Who is
Mm-hmm.
responsible, right? Because everything, whatever we are doing, there is somebody behind it, right? Somebody needs to own it. If this AI is going wrong, who is going to own it? Who is going to fix it, right? And the
Yes.
third thing I would say is like we need to be aware of its implications, right? If it is going wrong, what kind of impact end users are going to have? Who will be impacted and how they will be impacted? So if we know these three things, our AI is transparent. There is somebody who is responsible, and there is a plan. If something goes wrong, how who is going to be impacted and how are we going to fix that? If we know all just these three things, that's all. That's the overall responsible AI. If we are not doing so, uh,
Mm-hmm.
we are just increasing our ethical debt, right? Which is like very,
Yeah.
very high cost. It is not about kind of fixing in a day. It is rising exponentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
all about the responsible AI. Simple one question. This is the like wherever AI is taking decision, am I comfortable with it? Am I comfortable if this is for my loved ones? And we need to answer these three questions.
Perfect. Perfect. Beautifully put. So you mentioned now transparency, responsibility, allocation, and impact. But you mentioned a very interesting term as well, the ethical debt. Could you explain more what it means and why it is such an urgent issue today?
Yeah. So this ethical debt is something that I wrote in this in my recent publication, and this is like built on top of, or maybe just similar to the technical debt. And um, and in this call we have. A lot of people who are building the technology companies, or maybe they are working in the big tech corporates, right? So we all know what is the technical debt, right? It's a kind of conscious decisions all the founders are taking. Okay, we will do the documentation later. Maybe we are
Yeah.
not writing unit test cases, right? Because right
Mhm.
now I'm just in the hurry to build something, right? These are all the technical debts, right? What is the
Mhm.
impact? Like impact is maybe your code base is fragile, right? Or your application might break, right? That's the impact on the technical debt, right? It can be fixed. It can be fixed. Maybe you need to do spend some more time. It is growing, but it is growing like slowly, right? It is getting built. You need to do refactoring. Maybe you might need to do change your technology stack, etc.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, if you see the ethical debt, right? You are not following compliances. You don't know what kind of data you are using for training your model. You don't know how this data got collected, right? You don't know what kind of biases are present in this data, how this model is biased towards one community versus other, right? There, and you are thinking that okay, we will fix it later. This is like compounding very fast, so results are catastrophic, right? Because they are connecting to the people, they are harming to the society, right? And that's where these are all ethical debts, and these ethical debts are kind of growing exponentially, and their harms are much larger. And this is the basic difference between the technical debt and ethical debt, and
Oh,
why
thank you
we
so
need
much.
to think about them today, right? And this like as of today, um, the speed of innovation has increased with AI, right? The kind of time we used to um, take for building any application or any product just like 1 year or 2 year ago was say months. Now with the AI or especially Gen AI, that time duration has reduced to weeks, right? So whatever you were building in years, now it is months. So you are also compounding your ethical debt with that speed, right? It is not only you are shipping fast, you are also if there is issue, if there is bias present, or if there is a transparency issue, yeah. So you are impacting more lives much faster, right? There is another concern because so far um, there was no regulatory compliance. Now even the regulatory compliances are coming up, right? It is not yet uniform. That is understood because EU has their own law. US is following, building their own regulations in Middle East and India and these places. We are trying to find somewhere in the middle ground, but there are regulations now coming up, right? And they are mandating. EU AI Act is already in place from February 2025 in different phases, right? And the third thing is like users are also demanding. Users are asking the
Mhm.
questions, right? You cannot like we are using AI, or maybe sometimes we are hesitant in using AI because we want to know how our data is getting used, right? We ask every day, right? We are the free annotators for these bigger models, right? Because
Yeah.
whatever we are tagging, whatever we are writing, all that is getting used in training those models. We have the concern, right? How long we can survive with those concerns is the question. But we users are asking questions. we are in a different era now with the recent AI changes, right? So
Mm.
this like build fast, ship fast. That playbook is now a little bit concerning for the people who are especially working in the AI. We are now asking about, okay, build smart and things that can sustain, because if once you have the ethical debt, once you are stuck in any regulatory compliance, um, impacts are really large, monetary because there are bigger fines, and also ethical because you are directly interacting with the end users, and we don't know how much harm you will do, right?
Yeah, right. So, based on that, why do you think companies, like even well-intentioned ones, they still struggle to balance the innovation speed with ethical responsibility? Is it a matter of you snooze, you lose, or it is only about the user demand?
Yeah, so companies are struggling to incorporate maybe responsible AI for various reasons, right? And this is the reality of the today's market. Right? As I said, like this has just a kind of buzzword as of now, and everyone is just thinking that we have to have this as a checkbox, and they are not sure like how to incorporate, or maybe there are different sort of burdens they are thinking, right? And all this is because of some sort of misunderstanding. It is not like they have some bad intentions, right? Companies, they want to
Mm,
do it, but they are not sure how to do it and what is the right way of implementing all these I would say ethical balancing act, right? The number one, maybe I think the most important factor why companies keep this ethical debt and or ethical debt kind of act in their processes a little bit behind, because our market practices are like that, right?
mm,
So we have a wrong or mismatched incentive systems when somebody is building any startup, right, or any company, and they are going to show this their product to the investors, right? What the investors, the conventional, now the scenario is slowly changing, but I'm telling like the general conventional kind of investors, they are always talking about, okay, what is your growth path, right? How soon you can
mm,
grow, where you will be in next 5 year, how soon you can ship the new feature, how are you going to compete? So we are uh, stuck in this kind of conventional metric of measurement, right? So this is, we are
mm,
incentivizing this. One, think about the two companies, one is saying, okay, we can ship it in 3 weeks, eh? But they are not giving any, they are not spending any time on considering the concern that they should do, right? And there is another company who is taking, okay, we will take 3 months, right? There is a difference, right? If now
yes.
think, if somebody is thinking like short term goal, and they have this conventional measurement metric, growth speed, how much ROI and all those things, right? For the short term, without thinking the other dimension, move fast, break things, they are going to get stuck with this type of scenario, right? They do not have the right mindset to include this responsible AI or ethical practices, right? So
Hmm.
this is one of the reason I would say is wrong market incentive structure, right? Second thing is this, there is a false narrative, right? This false narrative, what it says is like, oh, this responsible AI, what is it? It is like a luxury. We can have it better to, if we don't have, no problem. This is just we have to maybe maintain some document, to maintain some sort of just kind of compliance check. That's it. There is nothing to worry about, right? But think like, I would say, think like, it is, you are running in, you are just traveling in a car. Okay, it is not mandatory, maybe say that, it's mandatory in a lot of countries, but I'm just giving an example. It is not something that, okay, you need to have the seat belt on, right?
Mhm.
But it is for your safety. If you are running fast, nobody is saying that, okay, you should not have, you right, you need to have for your own safety. It is not going to slow you down. The car will move as it is, but this is for your safety. Because if you are very good at the driver, you are very expert, right? But if something happens, this is for your protection, right? So all these compliances, right? This is not, there is nothing about the trade-off is speed versus kind of these regulations, right? Or the speed versus innovation, which is a very common question, right? It is
Mhm.
about following the compliance for your own safety and for the long-term goal, right? As I was telling, like, for this investor scenario, maybe in the beginning you might win the race when you are going to the investor who are just looking for this fast moving scenario, right? But think about when you are going for the next round, right? That's where, like,
Mhm.
be the investor, because they are looking for the less risk for their money, right? If you are compliant with the proper governance structure, you get the good regulatory business, right? You are less prone to any sort of compliance breakage or maybe fines, right? You don't need to do redo everything, right? So it is just the choice, right? And you need to think not just the innovation, but maybe long term or sustainable innovation. And the last thing that I would say in this kind of why companies hesitant is not having a standard or shared frameworks, right? This is
Mhm.
another concern, because every market, like now, they have, like, EU has their own act, US has their own act, in UAE we have three different acts, and India is having their own. So there is no kind of global standard. But the good thing is, we are moving towards that, just like GDPR started as the EU regulation and then slowly got adopted everywhere. We might, after some time, we might be in the similar situation. EU AI Act is really kind of pulling everyone, and this is what we might end up with, a kind of global regulation soon, right? But as of today, this is little bit confusion in the founders, and they are thinking, oh, we need a big team and all. And that was one of the reason I was, I like, because we practice in my team. Actually, we do practice this very minimal viable governance, MVG, which I wrote about. We follow this practice, which is very simple. You
Mhm.
don't need kind of bigger systems, bigger compliance rules, longer meetings, right? You need very, very small, thin, easy to do, for just to do list, right? And is still following the standards, right? So that's
Mhm.
all. I think we need to do. We should not think it as a burden, but we need to just change our mindset a little bit.
Perfect, perfect. So we have seen AI capabilities scale at incredible speed. Um, so what is like the scale that is not risky, or how come the scale comes without risk, without the bias, the misinformation, the privacy concerns, the unintended social impact? From your minimal viable governance framework you just mentioned, how can leaders scale without slowing innovation?
Yeah, so minimal viable governance framework is coming as similar to what we have seen MVP, right? Minimum viable product, right? So you don't need to have everything in day one. You just need a product that is serving the your primary customer, the main feature. Simple, right? So this is
Mhm.
specifically designed for the smaller companies, or maybe the companies who have no idea what kind of compliances rules they need to follow. They do not have much budget. This is very simple framework, right? Anyone can follow. Anyone, like even like 1 or 2% to bigger companies, right? It is built on type kind of four pillars. First thing is govern, right? So
Mhm.
govern is really, really important, right? Because this is where you are creating your ethical charter, right? This is just your North Star. You have to just write down what you want to do as a company. What are your guiding principles? Right, there is no nothing else, right? You are not defining anything big. You are not following any sort of bigger roadmap or something. You have to just define your ethical charter, your company values. My company will be building XYZ, right? This is what we are building. Whatever we are doing, these are the people who will be getting impacted, your users, right? Whoever are users, right? So these are the people. These are my non-negotiable values, that I will never build a surveillance kind of application, or I will not log any user activity directly in the clear text, right? They should be always encrypted, right? Whoever is accountable, who are the decision maker, you're just writing down, right? For each step,
Yes.
data will
Mhm.
be whatever data we are using for training our model should be compliant with XYZ rules, right? We need to know where this data is coming from, who has collected this data, how they have collected this, when this was collected. So we need to just write down all those principles. How much time it is going to take? Just maybe one evening, right? You just sit down for a few hours and you just write down one piece of paper, maybe one Notion page, or your Google Doc or something. Simple, right? The second step comes is mapping, right? So mapping is like, you need to just write down again in a spreadsheet, whatever model you are using, right? Any AI you are using in your system, or any sort of data that you are using to train your model, any sort of third party APIs, right, you are using, where this is coming from, on what data it is trained, what kind of failback mechanism they have, what if their failback mechanism got failed. Do we have any sort of further checks to handle that scenario, right?
Mhm.
All we need to map, because this is going to help you maybe 6 months later. If you found something that, okay, this data that you have used for training, it is having some sort of bias, right? You know what you have used. You don't need to trace back multiple things, right? How much time this is going to take? Maybe whatever data and AI models, etc., you are using, you might need a few hours to just write down in one Excel sheet. You can have simple columns. By the way, in my team, they are all maintaining the same thing, right? In whatever I'm telling, right? So we have this team specific on the we follow in the Confluence. So in the Confluence, we have this guiding principles. We have this, what whenever we are using any model, and most of the time we use these open source model, right? We do the fine tuning, etc. So okay, where this model is coming from, how this model is was built, right? So generally you will find in the model card which data was used, right? All this information is there. And then if we are adding any new data, or if we're fine tuning, then what is that data, and how we have collected all these, we need to mention, right? Simple mapping. Third is
Mhm.
then measuring the impact. So measuring the impact is about, just before releasing any AI feature, we need to spend some time in adversarial testing, or the red teaming activity. So we need to uh, focus on our assumptions. This is the most important thing, right? Many of the time we assume that, okay, my model is going to serve to these users, and okay, I have tested, it is working perfectly. What if my user is not from that specific group? Have we handled those
Mhm.
scenarios properly or not, right? How are we going to make sure that if any user beyond, or anything which is out of our assumptions is happening, how are we going to map those cases, right? So we need to, in this measuring step, we need to focus on our assumption. And if something happens, right, who will be impacted? We need to know those, right?
Mm.
Who are the user who will be impacting? And the last one is the managing. The in this fourth step, what we need to do is we need to just uh, fix the accountability, right? This is our governance log. Whenever we have taken decision, we need to write them down. Okay, we have decided to use X versus Y because this. We have skipped this step. Maybe we are, say for example, um encryption of the data. We are not doing encrypting our data because our system is locally hosted in client side. It is not on the internet. It will be in the client premise. User will be only the logged in user will be having access. So we have skipped this intentional choice, right? That we do not need to encrypt everything. This is our intentional choice or the product decision. But we need to maintain, like, why we have taken this decision and who has taken this decision. Governance log. Tomorrow,
Mhm.
if there is a kind of any audit, you have this log to show, right? You have this everything documented, and it is not taking much of your time. You are not maintaining big systems, or the compliance teams to do all these things, right? And this is whatever we are talking, all these are getting mandated by these regulatory or the compliance law anyway, but in the bigger form, right? What I'm telling is a minimal viable form. You don't need any external system. You can just do with pen or paper, or maybe with the Google Doc or a spreadsheet. This is the minimal viable governance.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. But still, in this competitive market, companies often feel the pressure when they see competitors moving as fast or twice as fast. So, could you share an example of a company that got this balance right?
Yeah. So, thank you. I think this is a very, very interesting question, and this we always encounter because, as I was telling earlier, right? So there is a investor pressure all the
Exactly.
time, right?
Hmm.
Because they are looking for the money, right? They are looking for the profits, right? So we always have this, as a founder, like they always have this dilemma: what is right, what is not, how to tackle or how to handle this pressure, right? And I have two examples, right? Um, Good, and maybe I would say not so good.
Perfect.
So think about like Clearview AI, right?
Hmm.
So Clearview AI, what they did, they built the best facial recognition system. How? They collected data. They just scrapped data from all the social medias, right? They collected data from Facebook, Insta, and all the social media channels, right?
Hmm.
Without consent. This is important. Without consent, they just scrapped the data. and they were like very much popular in the surveillance tech industry in the world, right? Because their facial recognition system, and in the surveillance, this is the most important thing, right? What happened, right? They scrapped all this data, built the best system, moved fast, got a lot of investment, right? But what happened later? They got caught by these by the compliance. They were banned in multiple countries, including like Australia, Canada, and a lot of EU countries. They got fined millions of dollars.
Mhm.
This is running fast but failing fast, right?
Yes.
They ran fast, but they got caught, and they were lost the battle, right? They got lot of fines just because of this unethical practice, right? Now think another scenario, right? And both the examples are of successful companies, or successful in terms of like the very popular large companies. Second example is Hugging Face. We all
Mhm.
know Hugging Face, right? All the models, data, everything is kind of posted, and model cards and all. And all this is there. Every data scientist, they love the Hugging Face. Very popular. How they have built, right? They have built um, a very transparent model from day one, right? Whatever model you are hosting there, or you are submitting your model, you are submitting your data, they have the completely transparent systems. You have to document everything if you are posting everything there, right? Everything is documented. Model cards are there, and these model cards or the data docs have, okay, how this model was trained, which kind of what are the results, how you can reuse use this model, or how you can use this data. Is there any biases, which ethnicity this data belongs to? All that information is present on their website, completely transparent, right?
Mhm.
Where they are valued like more than $4 billion, right? Trusted by so many enterprises because of their transparency. So this is also a successful model. Even they have the transparency, right? This is really a good case. Now,
Yeah.
coming back to your question of like how these founders can tackle investors' pressure, right? Or how should they think about the pressure? So I would say like they need to zoom out a little bit and think about this question. Um, what kind of success they are looking for? Is it about the success of a quarter, or is it a success about a decade, right? So they need to think that win, right? Are we looking for short-term goal or the long-term battle? If we are looking for long-term success, then we have to think a little bit differently. We have to think about these principles, and we have to incorporate them. Second thing is like they need to reframe this term. Okay, we need to build fast, or maybe we need to run fast. Fast is okay, but we are not denying that we should not be fast when we are building any business or any new product, right? But the question is fast or fast without any guardrail, right? So the question is only we need to move fast, but we need to move fast with or without guardrail. That's the question, right?
Yes.
So this is about, do we want to just kind of build things now and rebuild everything again later, or you want to spend some time now and make it a success story and sustainable innovation, right? When we talk about say competitors, this is another kind of scenario I have seen, like when we observe that, okay, my competitors, they are running fast, and they are really doing things quickly, and that's why we have to do, right? But we don't know the whole story, right? So this story might be a little bit different, eh? Maybe they are doing something silently. They are still following the responsible practices. They are still doing the ethical work, right? Which we are not aware. Maybe we are not seeing, but they are doing. So why we are assuming that, okay, they, because they are running fast, so that means they are not following, and they are just, we have to skip this step, right? We don't know how they are running fast, right? So we might be knowing only half of the story. Or maybe there is another thing. Maybe they are not operating in that risk region where you are operating, right? Their users might be little bit different. Their business model is little bit different. So you cannot compare, just like, because they are also building similar product, we are also building the similar product. So we need to just match the speed what they are having, right? And what I believe is, like, in spite of all these things, um, this responsible AI, or the trust, which is like the synonym for this. So trust is one of the ultimate competitive moat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think like, and this is like the I always mention these two equations. They were very, very popular. I think this is when you are adding trust with the innovation, right? Then you are basically multiplying your value, your product value exponentially, right? So innovation and trust, when they are coming together, then you are creating exponential value. On the other hand, when you are going with the speed but without trust, you are just creating the liability,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because, like, if it's only about the speed, there is no trust. You are going to get failed. And with
Yes.
the AI, the failure is like, at very large scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because your growth is exponential, your failure is also exponential, right?
Yeah.
So we have the good and bad both examples. Like, it is our choice what we want to do.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. That is a great answer. So I will have a few questions before I open the floor to the audience. So Ajay, beyond your successful career in AI, you have been a great mentor. So if you allow me, I would love to shift gears for a moment here and talk about your experience in mentorship because it's such a big part of like how future leaders learn to lead responsibly. So my question is, how can mentorship help emerging leaders navigate the gray areas, those moments where innovation, ambition, and ethics intersect?
Yeah. Thank you. And this is definitely one of the area, and One League is one of the place. And you being my mentee, I know the interaction that we have had several times, and this is one of the thing that I always admire and see as the place where any leader they should be contributing, right? And as you ask, like, how they can these mentors can help in the gray areas. So let me just kind of give little bit context to this gray area, right? So when we say the gray area, then what we are basically talking about, the things that have no right or wrong answer, right? It is all kind of some incomplete information, some sort of competing thoughts, right? This is the area where mentors are really, really helpful. And when we say the mentors are helpful, they are basically just guiding you to find the right answer, right? And that's what my job is as a mentor. I'm not giving any right or wrong answer. I'm not telling anyone that, okay, you need to do this or you need to do this. No, this is completely your choice. But what I'm doing is I'm just trying to help people to find those patterns, right? And how I'm able to do, because like maybe based on my experience, I have seen the similar kind of situation earlier in my career, and I'm just reflecting on that and sharing my thoughts. Okay, what kind of questions I didn't ask, maybe you should be asking, right? This is the just kind of um, giving different light to this to the problem. So you are seeing one side, your mentor is coming and just throwing light on the other side and helping you to see the other side of the problem, and you, at the end you have to find your solution, because every situation is different. The situation when I faced the similar kind of scenario, maybe that situation was different, right? So I'm just putting a different perspective as a mentor in those gray areas, and trying you to see things little bit differently, from different angle, from different perspective, right? So that's the one job of mentor, giving a different perspective. Second, the job of mentor, what I see is creating a kind of safe space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Often we want somebody outside our working organization, where we do not have the kind of trust instinct or the pressure, right? And we want to have somebody who can help in unpacking our thoughts, right? This is where the mentors help, right? So you share in that safe environment or the safe space what you are thinking, and they will ask you question, and you are together, basically you are collaborating. They are not the kind of coach to guide you, okay, you need to go this direction. We are just trying to collaboratively help you find your blind spot where you are not able to see, right? That's the mentor's job, and I really love this. And One League is a really good platform where I'm meeting the people like you, right? And you are doing so many amazing things.
Thank you so much, Ajay. It's always a pleasure talking to you, really. It's very insightful always. So, one last question before I open the floor to my colleagues. So, what's your most controversial opinion about AI regulation?
Uh, Most controversial opinion. So, what I think is we all are contributing to these AI systems, knowingly or unknowingly, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the thing that I'm feeling. Um, there is no sort of guidelines, or there is no sort of guardrails put in place, right? And companies are using or abusing our data. There is a kind of um, again a check mark, right? When you go to, and when you are using any Gen AI product specifically, they are saying, oh, we do not use your data to train our models. When we are when we are not getting consent from you, but at the same time we will not tell you what data we use for training.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this is a kind of really controversial, and I feel like, okay, this is like you are saying, one side you are trying to be transparent, and on the other side you are trying to hide the things you don't want to tell or you don't want to reveal. And this is something I feel kind of really controversial to me. It's like another thing maybe I feel is regarding the business model. These days like all these companies are building up, uh, and especially I'm very concerned, again this is related to responsible AI, when we are building uh, businesses by exploiting attention of the users, right? All these social media companies, right? They are we are now, the reels is the simple example, right? We are getting used to of spending hours and hours the bad use of AI.
Yeah.
Right? We are spending hours and hours without even knowing, without even thinking, right? I don't believe that this is the good use of AI, but yeah, this is the reality. They are learning from our uses, patterns, and using our attention. They are exploiting our attention by just giving short clips,
Hmm.
trying to persuade our attention, and that's how maybe I think ADHD and all those things are now very common. And I'm really really concerned about the AI uses by the kids. It is unfortunate we cannot always protect. This is happening. This is
Yeah, it's also because of the brain rot issue that is very common these days.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yeah. So I'm
correct.
really concerned about this, and I have a different opinion, that we should be kind of, when we talk about the innovation, we need to really think about its uses very, very carefully, and not just building good business, but a responsible business.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So we have 5 minutes left. Please feel free to raise your hands and unmute yourself to ask your question to Ajay directly. So I saw a lot of questions over the chat.
Okay.
If you are ready, I can call your. Oh, okay, go. Solo. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you as a guest lecturer. I wanted to ask, imagine if you launched a startup, how would you start introducing ethical frameworks within your startup? Given that for a startup to scale, they probably need lots of data. Apart from that, there are some certain compliances depending on where the startup is based, GDPR and AI Act and whatnot. So imagine that a startup is based, let's say, in the UAE. Since you are based in the UAE, I was wondering what are the first steps that you would need to take in order to ensure that you comply with all of the standards possible. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for this question. And it is really, really interesting, especially when you are talking about how you can incorporate um, ethical AI into your product roadmap when you are building something new, right? And it goes back to the same MV, minimum viable governance, right? As I said, see, there are two things. One is having the compliance while you are building any product, right? Second one is the compliance as a regulation, right, which is enforced by the government, right, where you are operating, where your clients are, or where you are building your product, right? So to start with, I always say that you start with the minimal viable governance framework, which is you just write down what you are doing so that when you are going to the next step, and the next step is definitely going with the regulations. Maybe is it a EU AI Act, or is it a NIST Act, or any local regulatory body? They all mandate that whatever you are doing, whatever governance you have applied in your product building, that should be documented. Whatever data you are using, it should be documented, where it is coming from. So the best practice is, from day one, you set the guidelines, you start documenting each and every process, and specifically decisions, right? When you have taken any decision, why you have taken that decision, what were the circumstances, right? Maybe because we all want to build a product that is ethical, that is kind of compliant for all the rules, but we are taking certain decision at certain point of time based on some assumptions. So we need to always write those assumptions, because when it comes to the audit, mostly like we are then we don't know why we have taken this decision 6 months back. What kind of assumptions, what kind of data was there available for you? So you can always start with the MBG framework.
Thank you, Ajay, so much for your answer. Just trying to end the chat, the very interesting fireside chat today on time. I would love to offer a heartfelt thank you to Ajay and for all the thoughtful discussion, and to all of you for joining us today. Thank you so much. And thank you all for your insightful questions and engagement. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.